Help, 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 oh my god, help. There's a film major. He's trying to get me to listen to his podcast. No, I won't be your quirky producer. Hello, what's up? Soul here. Today, we are entering the Pale Gardens. But not only that, I've decided, Minecraft, you guys could do a little better with this. It's great, don't get me wrong, but where are the structures? Where are my little abandoned witches' huts in the Pale Gardens? Where are my abandoned garden walls? I want gardens in the Pale Gardens. Come on, people. So, I added some structures to the Pale Gardens. And not only that, when I started adding structures, I decided, let's add a whole village, a hidden underground village full of villagers who have run and hid from the creaking. Let's dive right in. I'm trying a new format where I talk you through my build as we watch the speed build, and then at the end, I'll have a full cinematic tour for you. Here we go. So I started off by making my little color palette. I will say the people who make the textures for the new blocks that Minecraft has been adding have been doing a really good job of making blocks that go well together. So all of the tough bricks from the last drop go really, really well with all of this pale moss, pale leaves. It looks really, really nice. So I started off, I wanted to make a little bit of an abandoned garden for the Pale Gardens. So I made a sort of garden gate and a fountain in the middle. I considered using end rods to taper off the tops of this garden gate a little bit gothically, but they were too bright for me. I wanted to keep the darkness of the Pale Gardens. And it was around this time that I decided I wanted to also add a full hidden village underneath the Pale Gardens, as if the people who used to accompany the Pale Gardens were driven underground for fear of the creaking. So here I am blowing up a huge space underneath the Pale Gardens that I started to build, that I will return to. I had a lot of fun just kind of spreading the pale moss around here. I decided I wanted it to look like the Pale Gardens underground. I wanted it to have that claustrophobic feel a little bit. I wanted it to be full of moss and greenery. And I built a few little huts, little abandoned houses, to be the entrances to this secret underground space. I added a little abandoned statue because it's not an abandoned video game village without an abandoned statue, so I put some armor there and added another entrance to the underground. I wanted these little houses to look like tiny abandoned sheds, maybe garden sheds or tiny little huts that people could have lived in. And I fenced them in and added a few details to suggest they were used to hunker down, hide, and act as an entrance for this safe zone from the creaking. So you'll see I put some trap doors to suggest the windows are boarded up. I boarded up some windows on the roof. I added closed gates around all of the huts, and none of them have any decorations or lights lit inside of them. Around this point, I got bored building huts, so I went back down underground. It was really nice for my brain to keep switching up tasks back and forth, above ground, underground. I wanted to build some townhome apartments for the housing in this hidden village. Because if you're building a village underground, you're going to make a lot of stuff that is built into a wall. So I thought, what better style of housing than a little townhome-esque apartment building? I really like making tiny spaces in Minecraft lately. You wouldn't guess based on how many huge builds I make. Right now I'm making a ginormous pink tree that is way too big, and also I've never built a giant tree and didn't go in with a plan at all. And so it's been a process, but I'm currently working on that and I'm streaming that on my channel right now. But I do really like building tiny little spaces and decorating them. I love a crowded feel. It makes everything feel a little more realistic and lived in Minecraft, where there's so limited ways to decorate. So I was really excited to build and decorate these tiny little apartments. I made them all pretty similar, but I wanted them each to feel unique and different and individualized to the people who lived in them, because they all hid underground from the creaking. They built these. I also discovered that the coral blocks make a really nice, almost stone-looking flooring for the pale set. I know a lot of people who post Minecraft videos on YouTube plan their builds beforehand. I've seen people talking about how they build their builds in another world to practice them, and then they have a whole plan and go in. And it's really smart to do that. It makes the video a lot more concise. It makes whatever you're making a lot easier to edit. It makes it a lot more entertaining to watch. Sometimes if somebody really knows what they're doing and goes in with a plan. I don't tend to do that, even though I've made a video on planning your Minecraft builds and I do advocate for it. I get impatient and I just like to dive in. So there's a lot of trial and error. You'll notice some stuff that disappears in my builds that you'll see me spend like an hour building and then decide I hate it and so I'll destroy it. That happens a lot with me. So all of these are trial and error, and I just kind of tweak everything, just adjust it slightly until I feel it's right. Now, I decided this tree was too in the way. I wanted this place to feel crowded like the Pale Gardens, but I also wanted it to be visible because I got a couple of ideas for almost murals on the walls. I wanted to replicate the little swirlies that grow, the vines that grow up from the pale moss carpets. And so I took a look at those and I added almost like the moss growing on this wooden wall in the formation of these swirls. I like to imagine that the villagers who live here really do love the environment that they live in and love to pay homage to that with their art and their architecture, but the creaking came in and drove them out of their home that they love so much. So rather than running away and living in a different biome, they dug underground. I really love how those little swirlies turned out. I don't know what to call them other than swirlies. It's the only word in my head right now. All other words have escaped me. I wanted there to be a lot of movement in the space. So those swirlies are really nice. I put a lot of hanging vines to make the place feel more crowded and alive and more like the Pale Gardens. I thought the end rods looked really nice with the Pale Garden set and the Pale Garden greenery, and so realistics, get out of here. I want beautiful little stars in this underground fake sky, and so I put end rods literally everywhere. I think it looks so pretty. And the sea lanterns with this texture pack also look really nice with the pale wood, so I added a lot of those. I decided I didn't want to use any regular lanterns, so eventually the ones that are out and about will go away. But I wanted to challenge myself to just use white and blue lights. I made a third entrance to the underground in a tiny little shed, and then I really wanted to add some more swirlies, but some more dimensional ones. And so I added these little dividers that kind of separate the two sides of the village, and textured up the ceiling a bit with some more moss so that I could add more end rods and more vines and eventually some glowberries as well. We'll get a little bit of orange light in there. I can't help myself. And the glowberries do look really pretty with it all when it all comes together. I wanted the moss to kind of creep down like vines or fingers, and the end rods to do the same, and so I made sure to have end rods all the way up at the highest point of the ceilings and at the lowest point of the ceilings, as well as the glowberry vines and the pale vines. And I love to use the vines to frame the buildings, and you'll see me adjust some stuff. I let them grow and then trim them up, and then let them grow and then trim them up. It's like molding clay. You gotta shape it until the composition looks right. And then, of course, since I wanted it to feel like the Pale Forest, we needed more than one tree. And then I decided this tree's kind of close to the stairs, so let's make a platform. If I'm gonna do anything, it is utilize the space that I have. So I'm just making some sort of a viewing platform that I later decided has use in the village for if the creaking somehow gets down to the hidden village, somebody can keep an eye on it to keep it frozen from this watch post. So it's a defensive station as well as just a cute little viewing area that I thought would be nice in the village. As you can see, I'm kind of all over the place. I like to jump back and forth between different tasks. This is all in chronological order. I didn't switch around the editing or anything, and you can watch me build all of this, all of the parts that I cut out, in former streams on my YouTube channel. I streamed literally, I think, this entire process. There's maybe chunks of 30 minutes where I worked on it outside of streaming, but it's pretty much all there. Now I thought I needed some sort of little pond, and to keep with the theme and the movement of the composition of the piece, I made a little swirly pond wrapping around this tree here. And of course I filled the whole thing with pale moss because that's just what I do. Again, I wanted it all to feel natural. I wanted to blend the shape of a cave with the shape of the pale forest, and so I have a lot of reliefs into the walls to add texture. I made the ceiling kind of drip down. And again, that dead coral really looks nice with the pale wood, so I added some of that to the pond to add some pale greenery, I guess, even though it's not green. And it wouldn't be a build of mine without some sort of arched bridge, so here it is. Some sort of arched bridge and levels. I love levels. And then I was like, what's in a Minecraft village? The library, the bookstore, whatever it is. So we added a bookstore / library. It's whatever you want it to be, I guess. I wanted it to feel like a local bookstore. It's a little village. It needs a tiny, cozy little bookstore. So I made it a fairly small space with some reliefed walls and ceiling just to give it some texture, make it feel a little bit more ornate. And a big old pillar right smack dab in the middle, because it's not an old bookstore if there's not a pillar, I guess. Now, you'll see that painting, it's gonna disappear from this shop. It comes up a lot. I guess I really like that painting. I do. Mizuno's added some new painting textures in their updates, so there's a lot of gorgeous new paintings, very haunting. I love them, very much my style. But that one with the lady and the skeleton shows up a lot in this build, just like in places that feel comic. I got a little self-conscious about the amount of paintings I like to put in builds, because they just fill up wall space so nicely and make the builds feel a lot more realistic. I didn't put as many paintings as, looking back, I would have liked to. Oh yeah, I added a little take a book, leave a book station because I thought a big painting there was kind of weird in a common space, but I still wanted to put something there. Looking back at it now, I probably should have put another swirly, but here we are. I thought, we need some pale wood in this area, so I switched out the stone of the bridge for some pale wood. And then I decided I wanted to be able to see these three-dimensional swirlies better and divide up the space a little more distinctly. And so I took a risk. I was just kind of trying it out to see how it looked, and I really liked it, so I kept it. I added some stripped pale wood to the backings of these swirlies to divide up the village a little bit. And you'll see I played with a couple of different entrances here, but I do really like what I ended up with, which is just a very small, simple little doorway. I decided to go the simple route and let the mural of the wall speak for itself, which I agree with, I really like. I added one more little swirly to fill out the space and to honor the swirlies of the vines growing up from the pale moss carpet, and of course end rods and eye blossoms everywhere. I put the eye blossoms everywhere because I realized the villagers would use those as alarms for whether or not it is safe to go up into the above world. So when the eye blossoms are open, you better be in your house and quiet because the creaking is out and about, not too far above your heads. Another swirly on the back side of the wall because why not, you know? Like I said, I love a village with levels, and so I added a lot of different ways to get to and from those different levels, up and down. And I thought, you know what? We also need a pen for animals and a farm, because this is a Minecraft village. I need to meet all the criteria. And you'll notice we'll also need a blacksmith. I dug out a little bit more room. I decided this is where the animal pen's gonna go, and then across the bridge on the other side, connecting to the animal pen, I added the farm. I put a bunch of different little vegetables, very fun, composter, classic Minecraft farm, except underground and a little more developed than they usually are. And of course, because I'm me and this is what I decided to do for this build, there are end rods everywhere. Then I got to work on the animals. They needed some actual grass, and luckily since we were under the pale garden biome, the grass still showed up in the pale garden texture, so that was very nice. I love that pale green of the grass in the pale garden. It's so nice. End rods everywhere, light the place up. Glowberries everywhere, light the place up. We need some hay for the animals. We need a little water trough for the animals. I added some moss for texture, grass for the animals to eat, eye blossoms for the farmers, ranchers to know what time of day it is, and then, because this is a Minecraft village, we had to add a blacksmith. Again, those tough bricks just look so nice with the pale moss and with the pale wood. The cool tones in the tough bricks just match so nicely. You'll notice the little specks of pale green in there. There's that painting. There she is. There is that painting. What did I tell you? And now it's time for your tour. I hope you enjoy the hidden Pale Gardens village and abandoned Pale Gardens structures that I added. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to leave a like, leave a comment. I'm very small. I haven't been posting as much as I would like to. I've gotten kind of busy, but we are getting back into it. This month is February, and last February I found this seed with a gorgeous heart-shaped valley with cherry blossoms all around it, and built a couple of cute little Valentine's themed homes in there, and I have returned. We're building a massive pink tree on stream right now that is going to be, fingers crossed, an apartment building. Like I said, I did not plan this at all, so it is a beast. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye!